Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever or wherever you're listening to or watching. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me today, just before he heads down to the pool hall to break out Lucille, our single entry superhero, Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, bud?
I didn't read the intro. That's a nice Fresh Prince reference right there, right? Yeah. I can have Lucille. I still suck at pool, so I ain't hustling anybody.
Yeah, I'm not a bull hustler either. I'm the one that gets hustled. Yeah, I know how that goes. Just want to give a quick shout out to Yahoo Fantasy. They are our sponsor for today. We'll be talking about Yahoo Fantasy a little bit later, but thanks to them. Before we dive in too deep, if you're not already subscribed to our channel, now's the perfect time to do so. We've got you covered for every DFS sport, including daily streams for NFL, MLB, and NBA, which starts today, by the way. And then we've got NHL, PGA, college football, and a whole bunch more. Subscribing to the channel is the number one way you can help us out, and it doesn't cost you anything. So just click that little subscribe button. You'll get the videos pop up in your feed when we go, and click the notification if you want to get a little bell whenever we hit the air. All right, let's talk about last night real quick. You told me you eked out a profit. Good for you. I just played one lineup. I was away all day. Didn't eke out a profit because I did not have any Philly. Philly kind of like, they looked good last night. 6 goals. Derek Brassard had the only 3-point performance. And I think that's kind of something that we have to keep in mind with Philly here, right? Is like, they have, when they're healthy, they might have 3 lines that could score.
Yeah, they're actually pretty good. Coach, not very good, but that won't really come into play till playoff time if they make it. But yeah, they look good last night. I would have done a lot better, but Pavel Buchnevich scored on his first shot, and then he decided he was in the WWE and started headbutting people. Now he's probably going to get suspended. So, it was nice to see him score in my lineup, but in the wrong sweater. But it is what it is. Still in therapy. Awesemo's paying for it. What can you do?
Hey, yeah, as long as somebody else puts the bill, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of all that matters. John Gibson had a very good night for Anaheim in net last night. That's like, Anaheim's got to be breaking some hearts here, man, because I think it was like a 41 save performance from Anthony Stolarz when Gibson was hurt a couple games ago, and then Gibson puts up another 41 save performance again. Like, a terrible defensive team, but they're getting bailed out by their goalies. And that's something to keep in mind. And it's something we talk about here a lot with tournaments, is that those goalies that are on bad teams that are going to face a ton of shots can often win tournaments. And if you have John Gibson, he might have helped you win a tournament last night. All right, we got to get this moving because we do have a monster 11-game slate on the docket today. So let's get to our first game here. We've got Vancouver, the 3.2 implied goal total. They're going into Buffalo. Buffalo has a 2.8 implied goal total. A week ago, if you would have said Vancouver going into Buffalo, Buffalo would have a 2.8. I think you might have said that's a little bit high. The way Buffalo's played early in the season, they haven't looked too terrible. Should note, Brock Besser is a game-time decision. He could slot in tonight on Elias Pettersson's line. We just won't know until warm-ups start. All right, what do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, what a game to start the slate off with. Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres second line that's getting ownership. Like, just throw me down the stairs, like, for real. Like, I don't know if I can play the Sabres. Like, they scored, 6 goals? Or no, 4 goals in the other game. Like, they might not score 4 goals for the next 3 weeks, but, like, I don't know. Like, it's just hard for me to go against Demko. I know the Canucks have some issues defensively, but this is just really on an 11-game slate. Like, I'm not like itching to play the Sabres. If you're MMEing and you're over 20 lineups, you're getting close to 100, you can have some. But like 9% Tage Thompson. I know they're fully correlated on the power play, but it's just, I think it's price driven. But there are some other spots that I like around that same price that we'll get to later. On the Vancouver side, if Brock Besser is in, sometimes you get these like late game time decisions and people have their lineup set, they're grinding NBA or whatever it is that starts tonight. Brock Besser being back could mess up, an optimizer's lines that you already ran. So if he's in, that's something to keep an eye on, because I really do like that line. If it is Pettersson, Besser, Hoglander, you can get them maybe at a lower owned trio if Besser is a late news going to play and he's going to slot in and play on the top power play. I do also like the Horvat line. There really is not a matchup that I know Jake put into our Discord chat that the Tage Thompson line had like 100% Corsi the last game, but I ain't buying it. So like, I think Horvat line is in play for sure. Pettersson line, especially if Besser's back, I think you can get them a little bit owned. And, you know, if you're MMEing, I guess you can have a little bit of the Sabres, but I'm not itching to play them.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up that Horvat line. I wrote about them in my Power Plays article today over at Awesemo.com. We usually have an article that goes up on the website, free to read. If you want to check out some plays for the night on larger slates, we'll have articles up there. I have one today, and I talk about Bo Horvat, and it's just a price thing, right? 13,200 in what should be a good spot. Wouldn't begrudge anybody for playing it, but like I mentioned in my Power Plays article, ownership is a concern, and we have them at 16% owned as a line. If I'm not mistaken, that's our highest owned line on the entire slate. So like, I think I'd rather go to Vancouver 1, slide in Besser, and then if he doesn't play, maybe just figure out, like, you can probably just slide in JT Miller if you want. I know they play different positions, but you can actually go down from Besser to JT Miller if you leave Besser in utility, which you should be anyway for anybody that's a game time decision. So that's kind of the way I'm approaching it. I might build with Miller, and then if I can, move a defenseman up because they're about $1,000 difference. So that's the way I'm leaning. I'm leaning the Pettersson line for Vancouver. On the Buffalo side, that entire Buffalo second line is correlated on the power play, and that kind of interests me because I do have them I have them as a good value, like just flat out by my numbers. I have them as a good value for a second line. I just don't have them for a super high projection. So, you need to mix them in with your Edmonton power play or your Washington ones or something like that. So I don't hate that Buffalo second line. I won't have a lot of them. In 20 lineups, I might have one. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm going. Vancouver 1, maybe some Buffalo 2. In net, I also wrote up Thatcher Demko, and it was more because over on FanDuel, he's priced down to 7,300, I think. So he's way cheaper on FanDuel than DK. So don't mind playing him on FanDuel. I'd probably stay away from him on DraftKings, though, at 8,000. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Demko if you're using, Vancouver. I don't know if I go out of my way to pay 8,000 for Demko on the road in a matchup where shot volume could be an issue.
Gotcha. All right. Let's just keep moving to the next game. And this is a game that's kind of surprising to both of us. San Jose 2.8 implied goal total going into Montreal. The Habs have a 3.2 implied goal total. But if you look at the movement through the day, the Habs started with a much lower goal total, and it's moved up all through the day to one of the higher implied goal totals on the entire slate. I think they're tied for third with Vancouver behind Edmonton and somebody else. So it seems like the bettors are expecting a lot of goals here, and a lot of goals from Montreal in particular. And that's of interest to us because by our top stacks tool, we don't have a lot of ownership on the Habs outside of that third line because it's very cheap. Hoffman, Gallagher, and Adam Brooks. But we have their top two lines, both under 5%. But if they have one of the higher implied goal totals on the entire slate, and there's a lot of money moving to their side because it moved like 25 cents to their side as well. It tells me there's probably going to be a lot more ownership on Montreal here than we might expect. So what do you see out of this game, Josh?
Yeah, it must be the Mike Hoffman bump. You know what I mean? He comes back and
the Adam Brooks bump.
Yeah, the Adams Brooks bump. I'm not buying the ownership on this third line. Like we were talking about it before the show, like they're not getting minutes. Like, yeah, Hoffman's on the top power play, but Brandon Gallagher has been playing 13, 14 minutes. And I just, even last year when he was on the top line, he was getting 17, but that's still way better than 14. And if you're getting third lines, yeah, they're going to get, maybe the depth of, if you can call it depth, of the Sharks. But like in GPPs, even in cash, like in 14 minutes, like they have to go to work to pay off. And you look up into the second line, like Dvorak, Drouin under 4K piece at 3%, Josh Anderson 3,100, 4%. Like, yeah, maybe that comes up during the day, but like even if they come in at 5, 6, 7%, that's the line I want to use. Like Yeah, I'm a big Dvorak guy, but like I'd rather play Montreal 2 over Buffalo 2 any day of the week. Like that's a line arguably early in the season is the best Montreal line. They're priced like an average third line. So yeah, I really like Montreal too. If you want to go to Montreal 1, their ownership is down as well. That might creep up. Like, but to Foley, Suzuki, Caulfield, like they're going to explode one of these games. So you want to get ahead of the trend. So if you're MMEing, you want to get them at low ownership and a high total before they go off, because the next game they're going to be higher owned and you're going to be competing with a big chunk of the field. So I don't mind going there as well. On the Sharks side, I do like that top line. Meyer, Couture, Dahlin. He was in the Swiss Super League last year. Was that it?
I think he was in Sweden.
Sweden, yeah. But the numbers he put up were ridiculous. Like
he did really well.
He's not some just some guy. Like his numbers were incredible. So and they're fully correlated on the power play. And it's like, yeah, they have a 2.8 total on the road, but like Montreal's not very good defensively. So I do like having some of that top line for sure. If you want to go down to that third line, Bonino, LeBanc, it's too early in the season for Bonino. But like, if you need some fillers, I don't mind a Bonino, LeBanc 2-man.
Yeah, I don't mind that 2-man either, but I think I'm probably going to be off San Jose entirely in this game. Like, I was on that Couture line the first couple of games. They just haven't looked great. Like, I don't know if Couture's lost a step or something, but he's had a lot of injuries. He's getting towards his mid-30s now, so maybe he is. I do think that second line's a little bit better, but I'm just out on San Jose. For me, it's on the Montreal side, and it's at the Dvorak line. We have them coming in under 5%. I think that comes up a bit, but they're probably going to stick around 5%. They're super cheap, under 11K. Not perfectly correlated on the power play anymore, but all their players are on one of the power plays, so that's still something. And they can fit perfectly with the super expensive stack that we're going to talk later on about Edmonton. So I think people are going to chase that Mike Hoffman, Brendan Gallagher, because Gallagher is a guy all the DFSers know because of his shot volume. Hoffman is a guy all the DFSers know because of his goal scoring ability. So I think people that play NHL would just gravitate towards that line more. So I'm going to be more on Dvorak, Anderson, Drouin, but not a lot. Like I'll probably have him in a couple lineups out of my 20. On the blue line, is there anybody that sticks out to you here? I mean, I know San Jose, like we say, Brent Burns is always in play if you want to correlate. Anything else stick out to you?
I think Mario Ferraro at 3K is interesting, just from a time on ice and shot blocking perspective. But really, I'm not going to go out of my way to really play Sharks defenseman tonight. David Savard on the Montreal side under 3K. Someone I would look to one off. Petrie at 5K is interesting to me. I think you can fit him in with Montreal too pretty easily.
Okay. Just want to note two things from our chat. One from one of our buddies, Quick Party, said Vancouver sent down Patan. So that's probably a good indication that Brock Besser is going to be in tonight, because you wouldn't send a forward down if you don't have another forward to replace him. And the other is a super chat from Clayton Ortner. Thank you very much for the super chat, Clayton. He says, place third in the 444 GPP and first in the $5 single entry on FanDuel. $944 into $1,782. Thank you, Awesemo. Hey, congratulations, man. That's a very big night when you're still just trying to grind away and build your bankroll. Those are the nights you dream of when you're just trying to build your bankroll. So congratulations to you. Let's see if we can get a few more binks out here tonight. This game is really interesting to me, the next game that we're going to talk about here, and it's one that I'm probably going to have a ton of ownership from. Florida, 2.9 implied goal total going into Tampa Bay. The Lightning have a 3.2 implied goal total. I talked about it on Twitter this morning. Sam Bennett, 4,500 on DraftKings. That is so egregious. I don't even know where to begin. The guy has 18 points in his last 12 games. Just put up a hat trick his last time out, and he's cheaper than JT Compher. Like, what are we even doing here? Florida 2, Owen Tippett, he didn't skate yesterday in practice, but he's expected to play. Tippett, Huberdeau, and Bennett are my best value line of the season so far. They're like, unless I flat out exclude them from my player pool, there's just no way I won't end up with a ton of Florida 2 here tonight. So that's where my ownership's going. I don't have a whole lot more to say other than that. I should obviously also mention that Nikita Kucherov out for Tampa for a little while. Corey Perry on the top line. But yeah, for me, this is a Florida 2 game. What do you see here?
Yeah, I'm not buying the 2.9 total. Like Tampa Bay lost their third line. They lost Kucherov. They have Corey Perry on the top line in 2021. This isn't a very good defensive team from a forward standpoint. Even, they've been relying on their defensemen to, pick up the defensive play, but they haven't even been that good this season. They got rolled by the wings, which we'll get to later. But like, I don't know. Their numbers haven't been great this year. And I agree with you on Florida too. Like they're 12-7. 12-7 on DraftKings, and they're coming in at 2%. Like I'm confused. Yeah. So even if their ownership triples to like 7-8%,
don't care.
Yeah. Who cares? Like, who cares? Sam Bennett should be like, I don't know what's a decent price for Sam Bennett, like 6,100.
He should be 6K, and Huberdeau should be in the 7s.
Yeah. And the one thing I will say about Florida, if you're using the top line, just be a bit wary. Like Anthony Duclair moved up to the top line, but man, Joel Quenneville loves to kick him off after he like has one bad shift. So, but Reinhart hasn't been very good either. So he might stick there. You can, with Florida, if you want to, you can, lock in Barkov and Bennett and, put in Huberdeau. But really, Florida 2 is great. Florida 1 is going to be very, very low owned, and they were very good last season. That iteration for Hagee, Barkov, Duclair, one of the best defensive lines while it was together. So, but yeah, this is a Florida 2 game for me. I'm out on Tampa Bay. If you want to one off some people, that's fine. But even Stamkos price is up to 7K, 7.2. Like, there's just not much that I want from Tampa tonight.
Yeah, I have no interest in top line Corey Perry. Like, if you wanted to play Tampa 2, like I think that'd be fine, because I can definitely see a world without Kucherov where, Stamkos might play a couple more minutes. Maybe Alex Lauren plays an extra minute or something like that. Like, you're not going to replace Kucherov. You just try to replace him in the aggregate. But if they're going to come in at 10%, and I'm not a big fan of that line to begin with, like I just don't have like a huge, like there's no inkling for me to really just slam in some Tampa. So I wouldn't hate like a Braden Point, Andre Palat, because like if you look at Tampa's numbers or points numbers with and without Kucherov, like they go down, but it's not like they crater. You know what I mean? Like he's still like a 70 or 75 points like player without Kucherov. He's just not a 95 point player without Kucherov, right? So I think Tampa 1 is still fine, is still in play for me, but I don't know how Corey Perry's going to go there, and we have them over-owned as it is. So, So like, I'm not going to change their, I'm not going to give them a thumbs up or thumbs down in FC or anything. If they naturally end up in my lineup, I'll play them, but they're definitely not a line I'm going out to play. So I'm with you on this game. It's all about Florida 2. On the blue line, I see Chernak is still fairly cheap. The price on the Florida defensemen, though, have come up. Weegar over 5,000, Ekblad 6,700. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, that price is a bit tough on Ekblad, but I mean, if you're going to play Florida 2, you can play Ekblad. Like, it's not like they're price prohibited from you not getting Ekblad in. So I think that's fine. I wish Mackenzie Weegar was a bit cheaper, but the punt guys, not super interested in. If you want to punt Montour, I think that's fine. On the Tampa side, I don't mind Hedman as a one-off in, like mid-range builds in GPPs, but McDonough, Chernak, fine under 3K, but I'm not super interested in Tampa as a whole tonight.
Glad you said Victor Hedman one-off, because we actually had that question in chat. So congratulations.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe there's just something in the air that you just sensed it, right? You just sensed that there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Celebrate the start of the NBA season. We have a special tip-off deal, which grants all new Awesemo Plus members 50% off their first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Just use the promo code Curry, that's CURRY, all capital letters, at checkout, or click the link on the link in the video description below to activate. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com for every sport, and player projections, ownership projections, our super popular NBA boom and bust tool, lineup builders, and a whole lot more. This offer is valid through Monday, October 25th. That's next Monday. So hurry up and lock in this deal to start your Awesemo Plus membership for only $15. That's Curry, capital letters, at checkout, or click the link below in the description below to activate. All right, moving along. Seattle, 2.7 implied goal total. New Jersey, 3.3 implied goal total. Seattle played last night, got absolutely blown up, 6-1. Imagine that means Chris Driedger starts in net for Seattle tonight. They did some line shuffling. Alex Wenberg jumped up to the top line. Jared McCann got stuffed down. With back-to-backs, we just won't know what the lineup is going to be until warm-ups hit. What do you see for the Kraken side here? Is there anything that you like? And then head on over to New Jersey.
If I say anything bad about Driedger, our boy Quick Party will give me the old block of Rooney on Twitter, but I actually like Driedger, but I don't think this is the night. Seattle's at the end of a long road trip now. It's a back-to-back. I'm kind of out on Seattle tonight. 11-game slate, back-to-back on the road on a different coast. It's just not something that I'm super interested. If you want to go down to that third line, do a 2-man of Donato Geeky in some of your more expensive power play stacks, I think that's fine. What's really catching my eye in this game is the Devils have a 3.3 total at home against a team that's on a back-to-back, and their ownership is non-existent on that top line. Jack Hughes coming in under 1%. Maybe that comes up during the day, but I kind of like that line. It depends where Wenberg is really, because I like McCann, and it also depends on line matching. You see that top line Hughes under 1%, the Hischier, Zacha, Bratt line coming in around 1%. I like that line as well. If this is going to be an under-owned spot, I think this is a good spot to go over the field. You don't need much to go over the field in MME. 3.3 total at home. The Devils have looked pretty good, so I think all the top two lines are in play. If you want to drop down, do a little Tatar one-off or mix them in with Jack Hughes to get both power play time, I think that's fine. And, Dougie is very pricey, and he's going to get ownership for sure. But that it's going to be contrarian because the Devils' prices are a bit up. So I think they're a good contrarian option in GPPs tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that Hischier, Bratt, Zacha line, because the way that they've actually been doling out the line assignments, that line should go up against the depth from Seattle. And listen, we talked about Seattle being good defensively, but this team only has so many good players to spread through the lineup. Once you get down to the third pair of Jeremy Lauzon and Hayden Fleury, we like Fleury for DFS. I just don't know about real life. And then, maybe you get some Mason Appleton, maybe you're facing off against Ryan Donato. There's just not a whole lot to speak of. So I do like the Hischier line a little bit better, especially where Hischier and Zacha are both on the top PP unit. The problem with Hughes is both his wingers are on the other power play unit. So that's kind of why I like Hischier and Zacha better. But if I'm with you, I think they're both in good spots. I think they're both going under owned for what they can do tonight. So I do like both the New Jersey top lines. I just like the Hischier line a little bit better. Damon Severson, remember, is going to be back in tonight for the Devils, 2,900. Hayden Fleury, our boy, hit 20 minutes last night and got our block bonus. Still power play 2 for Seattle. What do you see on the blue line?
Yeah, Hayden Fleury is a solid one-off there. Dougie, if you're using any of the top 6, he is pricey, but Severson also fine at 2,900. Subban and Graves are a bit overpriced for my taste, so it's really Dougie Hamilton or Severson on the Devil side.
Yeah, he is overpriced, but like you said, I think it is contrarian in a sense because of where the Devils' prices are sitting right now. All right, let's move it along. Dallas, 2.6 implied goal total. Going into Pittsburgh, the Penguins have a 3.0 implied goal total. Brian Rust is out for Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby is out for Pittsburgh. Evgeny Malkin is out for Pittsburgh. John Klingberg is out for Dallas. That is a lot of talent missing from this game, probably why it's a game that's sat at a 5.5 total. Dallas has kind of messed around with their lines. Joel Kiviranta up to the second line, Joe Pavelski down to the third line. It seems like they're trying to spread out some scoring, but they just aren't even scoring. So, I don't know how spreading out the score is going to help. But anyways, what do you think about this game, Josh?
Yeah, I'm not super high in this game as a whole, especially on this big of a slate. I think, there's nothing that I'm going to focus primarily on. I think this is more of an MME filler type of night. If you want to go to that top line of Pittsburgh, I think that's fine. Jake Gensel, 7,600. It's a little tough pill to swallow. That is one of the most expensive forward prices on the board, and there's some other players I'd rather pay up for. I mean, you do get a bit of a discount with Heinen at 3,400. That's really the only line that I would consider on Pittsburgh, though. If you want to go to that second line, I think you can two-man like Rodriguez and Kapanen for power play or Zucker or something like that. But I just don't know if I'd full stack them. On the Dallas side, like, yeah, people are going to go. You see the ownership around 5% on Ben, Sagan, Radulov. If you want to have a couple in MME, that's fine. It's just, yeah, Pittsburgh isn't great defensively and Yari isn't the best, but they just haven't looked very good this season. The second line, Kiviranta, Hintz, Peterson, they're super cheap. If you want some, their power play correlation isn't great. Hintz and Peterson on the second unit, but like at that price, I'd rather like 99.9 out of 100 times, I'd rather just lock in Florida too. So really, this is an MME game for me. There's not much that I really like.
Yeah, I'm out on Pittsburgh one. Like, take Ensel 7,600, man. I just can't do that. Pittsburgh 2 has actually looked surprisingly good this year. I didn't think that line would be very good, but by my eyes, they've looked good. By the numbers, they've looked good. And they're two of the three guys are on the top power play unit. And they're going to be going up against the Ben, Sagan, and Radulov line. And like, they're probably going to be fine, but they're all getting old. Sagan's getting, I think at least Sagan and Radulov are returning from injuries from last year. Like, I don't think that's a terrible matchup for Pittsburgh too. So if you want to like two-man Rodriguez Kapanen, I think something like that is fine. I think they can carry some play here. So I don't mind Pittsburgh too, but that's kind of all I like out of the forwards here. Like, I just breaking up Hintz and Pavelski, I think is just terrible. And I don't like the Bennigan's line. It's 2021. It's not 2016 anymore. So that's kind of where I'm sitting there. On the blue line, is there anybody that sticks out to you? I mean, Miro Heiskanen probably should get a ton of minutes with John Klingberg out. Same with Esa Lindell and Ryan Suter. What do you think?
Yeah, their prices are kind of in no man's land, but if you want to correlate them in, I think that's perfectly fine. Jake's boy, Hakanpää, 2,500. I'm probably not going to play him. I just wanted to mention him because he has great hair, just like Jake. But on the Pittsburgh side, Mike Matheson, min price, should be back. Power play 2 is a guy. Who I feel like Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a guy, but like min price, power play 2. We're not playing him because he's good defensively. He's very active offensively. I think you can play him if you need a one-off.
Neither of the goalies. I know, like, obviously Tristan Jarry's not going in net for either of us, but what do you think on the Dallas side?
I like Braden Holtby in 2021. I might as well just lock in Holtby, play some Corey Perry, pour like a 4 Locos in a glass and just go to town.
I wouldn't mind a 4 Loco right now. Yeah, actually, I kind of hit the spot. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Let's move it on to the next game then. Colorado has a 3.0 implied goal total. They're going into Washington. The Caps also have a 3.0 implied goal total. The big news, obviously, Nathan MacKinnon is back onto the top line with Andre Burakovsky and Mikko Rantanen. Still no Gabriel Landeskog. This is the second game of his suspension, and still no Valery Nichushkin. He's injured. Like, to me, those are their two best two-way wingers, right? And I think those are defensive losses that shouldn't be overlooked, especially when you combine that with Devin Taves. Like, I know Colorado is deep, but eventually when you lose enough stars, you just don't have the depth to fill them in. But all that being said, Nathan MacKinnon back in our lives, so obviously we got to talk about him. What do you think about MacKinnon in his first game back, about the spot for Colorado, the Avs in general, and then tell us about the Caps?
It's tough to conjecture on MacKinnon. Like, I don't think you need to put much thought into it. He was asymptomatic positive, had 2 negative tests. They wouldn't play him if he wasn't ready. So I think, it's full go for MacKinnon. If you want to play him, you can play him. I think it's a decent spot. And, you don't get too much of a discount with Landeskog out. Burakovsky is still 5,900 and he is not on the top power play. So I think if you want to go some power play route for the Avs, I think you can put in Tyson Yost with MacKinnon and Rantanen and go 2C, get pretty contrarian there. Yost is 2,700 on the top power play unit. He's not that great, but at that price, if he, gets a goal or gets an assist on the power play, I think he'll be fine. I also really like the top line for the Caps tonight. It can't really be understated. Like, Nichushkin's out, Landeskog's out. They're not fully healthy. Yeah, they're decent defensively, but it's on the road. Kemper's on a new team. We like Kemper, or I like Kemper. I think you like Kemper.
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe we all love Kemper, but
everybody loves Kemper.
Everyone loves Kemper.
Even Jordan loves Kemper, and he doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah. But I like that top line: Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Wilson. I don't know if I'm gonna, go out of my way to in like 2 to 5 lineups, like lock them in, but they're a line that I'm looking to play. So in this game, I like Colorado 1, little Colorado power play. That second line for Colorado is a bit pricey. Like JT Compher, 5,000 is just, it's going to be a no for me, dog. So like the top lines and maybe a little bit of power play.
Yeah. From our top stacks tool, we have Washington 1 as a 10% stack coming in at 10%. So that's completely fine. Colorado was one of the 10 most penalized teams in the league last year, and penalties are up at least early so far this year. So that's another little check in the column for Washington 1 is that there should be some power play time here. Ovechkin plays both power plays, so he plays with both the Kuznetsov on the first unit and Wilson on the second one. So he gets exposure to both. So I don't mind Washington 1. I think I do like Colorado 2 here tonight for this reason. Washington typically uses Lars Eller in the checking role, so he'll get Nate McKinnon. That leaves the second line going up against Washington 1. And as good as Ovechkin and Kuznetsov have been on the power play and special teams, they haven't been that great at 5-on-5. And they weren't that great at 5-on-5 defensively last year either. So I think if you want to sneak in like a sneaky secondary stack for me, I think it would be Colorado 2. I'm going to wait to see where they show up in my crunches, but it's one of those stacks where I'd rather play Colorado 2 at like 1 or 2% than Montreal 3 at like 11% or 10%. And you know what I mean? So I'm going to keep an eye on Colorado 2. They're definitely going to be in my mix as a secondary stack. Should mention, by the way, Colorado's going 11-7 tonight, 11 forwards, 7 defensemen. So we can probably expect a lot of mixed up line combinations. So I'm not sure like a full 3-man is the best way to go from Colorado here. I do like McKinnon and Rantanen or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't just stack all 3 players because I think we're going to see a lot of different line combinations here tonight. All right, moving to the blue line, John Carlson, man, his price just can't come up. It just won't budge. It was 5,400. I guess it's now 5,800, so it's coming up a bit. That's still much cheaper than where he was all year last year. Anybody else stick out on the blue line?
Not really. I mean, if you want to use Makar for power play 1 for the Avs, that's fine. There is 7 defensemen, so time on ice for after the top pair guys might be a little bit of concern, but Bowen Byram is a guy, 3,400. He's getting no ownership. He's pretty good. And I just want to mention Mikhail Maltsev for Jake because an empty net goal from him last year on the Devils got him a live final seat. So I know Jake is going to have 83% Mikhail Maltsev tonight.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about goalies. We have Darcy Kemper as the 3rd lowest projected goalie on the entire slate here tonight. And it's a function of a number of reasons. One, like you said, Colorado is a good defensive team, and that should limit shots. And Washington relies on a lot of power play scoring and stuff like that, which means high percentage shots. So don't expect Kemper to face like 39 shots or something here tonight. That's why we have him ranked so low, even though he's only $7,500. Would you play him anything outside of a correlated lineup?
Probably not. There's some cheaper options with higher upside, I think, down the road in these later games.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers, all of which you can find in the links in the description of this video. First, we have an exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit, and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out to you via email with a coupon. If you need immediate access because you want to play today, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up. Just to emphasize once again, this offer is for new Yahoo users only. You can also claim a free $10, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. So if you want to get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, you just got to sign up, be a first-time user over on Yahoo. The link is in the description below. And we do have some free stuff up on the website today. We usually do have some free stuff this week, or today, sorry, we have PGA rankings. So if you're playing a little golf this week, check out the site for your PGA rankings. All right. let's move it along. We still have 5 games to get through. We still got lots of time. We got 20 minutes to get through them. First game, Columbus Blue Jackets, 2.7 implied goal total going into Detroit with a 2.8 implied goal total. Dylan Larkin back, served a 1-game suspension for punching a guy in the face. He's back. He's going to the top line. Max Domi, he was in and out of the lineup. They're not sure what that third line is going to be. He was playing on the third line for Columbus. They're not sure if he's going to play tonight, so that's something that we won't know until later. Do you like anything out of this game, Josh?
I honestly wish this game was on the slate because I keep coming back to it. Like, I don't want to keep coming back to this game. I like the line, Jenner Voracek line. They're decently cheap. They're not very high owned. Line A is back to his, diehard villain status with his clothes, but like he's actually looked way better now that Torts has gone back to the TV side of things. The second line, Nyquist, Roslovic, Bjorkstrand does interest me, especially at their ownership. They are pricey. Bjorkstrand up to 6,700, Roslovic 5,300. I don't mind that 2-man yet is 12,000, and I'd rather spend the extra 700 again to get Florida 2. But if you're making multiple lineups, that is a decent contrarian spot because they're going to get God knows who on the wings, and they're just not good defensively. So if they're gonna be at that ownership 1%, I'm gonna want Bjorkstrand because he is their best. Well, one of their better. Line is a great scorer, but Bjorkstrand, very good, very pricey though. It is going to be contrarian. And then, man, we have that wings one question again. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Because going up against the line A line is the one you want to do, and they're probably going to see each other. And Larkin and
Can I just jump in real quick?
Please.
I just want to mention the line matching because it's why I'm so excited about Detroit. Is I wanted to use them in their first game when they were at home against Tampa because Tampa had lost their third line, and I didn't, and they scored 6 goals or something like that. I wanted to mention the line. I wanted to mention the line matching because Dylan Larkin, what they started to do last year was send them out against the bottom 6. Yeah. So the Larkin, Bertuzzi, Raymond line, if Domi isn't in tonight, is going to be going out against Yegor Chinnikov, Cole Sillinger, and Alex Teixeira. That's 2 rookies plus Teixeira. That's kind of why earlier in our Discord I was talking about Detroit 1 is because if you look, it's still very early numbers. They've only played a couple games, but it's been a tale of two cities pretty much for Columbus. The top 6 is about 60% XGF, expected goals for. The bottom 6 is 35%, absolutely steamrolled. And Larkin is going to be playing against the 35% guys. So that's my 2 cents. That's why I'm never excited to play Detroit, but I think this is a good matchup against the bottom 6 because of the line matching.
Oh man, if Whiskers is watching the show, he's just lock button Detroit. But yeah, no, listen, and Lucas Raymond is a good discount. He's on the top power play, 2,700. So listen, they're coming in at 1-2%. Doesn't take much to get him over the field in MME. Our boy Quick Party said Domi's on IR. So there's that. He's out. So yeah, listen, Detroit 1. Don't need much to get over the field. That's really about it from the Detroit side. I do like the top 6 of Columbus though as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I agree with you on the Columbus side. I just think people are gonna overlook that Detroit top line, and they're gonna get a good in-game matchup. So I do like Detroit 1 here tonight. On the blue line, I don't mind Zach Werenski. He is a little expensive at 6,300, I think. If you want to correlate with Nick Leddy with the top power play unit for Detroit, I think that's fine. Anybody else stick out?
Not really. I guess Phil Pronik, 3,100 if you want to get a spicy meatball, another non-top power play wing guy. And I don't know why you go out of your way to put wings defenseman in your lineup, but at that price, I don't mind him. But yeah, Nick Leddy, top power play in 2021. You might as well add him to your Holtby and Perry lineups and just throw it back to 1999 and win all the money.
Yeah, exactly. All right. In that, is there anybody that's sticking out to you here? Because I see they're both priced at the same price, right? They're both 7,700.
I was hoping one of them would be cheaper, but I'd prefer Korpisalo, but I wish he was like 7,400. 7,700 is probably going to be a pass for me.
Let me ask you, would you play either goalie in a non-correlated lineup?
No.
Yeah, okay. That's probably that's the question I'm going to ask from now on. Not would you play these goalies? Would you play these goalies in a non-correlated lineup? All right, let's move it along. Next game, the New York Islanders have a 2.9 implied goal total. They're going to Chicago. Chicago has a 2.7 implied goal total, and man, the panic buttons are getting pressed in Chicago. Jonathan Toews has new line mates. Alex DeBrincat's down to the third line. Dylan Strome is still a healthy scratch. I don't. Cats and dogs are living together. It's just absolute mayhem in the Windy City. What do you think about the Blackhawks and Islanders tonight, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, Blackhawks side is just impossible to full stack anybody. And it's not like this is the spot to do it anyway. You know, the Islanders are a good team. So really, outside of like a one-off, I don't even know who I'd want. Probably Kubalik, just because he's the cheapest guy and he shoots the puck at 5,100. Like Patty Kane, 7,500, too pricey for me. You know, to bring Cat down with, you know, in the bottom six at 6,800, just not something I'm going to go to really. So I'm probably just going to be out on the Blackhawks tonight, just because, you know, they're going to switch up their lines. It's just inevitable. On the Islanders side, I do really like that second line, Beauvillier, Nelson, Bailey. They're, you know, decently cheap, and they've been together for more than a season now. It's not like it's a new line where there's not much data. There's a lot of data on this line, and they're very good. And they're getting a team in the Blackhawks that are panicking. They're not very good defensively. I think, you know, this is a good spot. You know, you see the top line, like Anders Lee, like 7,300 on the road, Barzal 7,100. Like, it's just too pricey for me, especially without Eberle there. Palmieri's a nice player, but he's not the play driver Eberle was. So for me, this is an Islanders 2 game. If you want to one off like a 2-man like JGP and Wallstrom, I think that's fine. Power play time is concerned, but I really do like Isles second line.
Yeah, nothing to disagree with you. Islanders 2 was what I had written down as well. By our top stacks tool, we have them as a 3% top 2 stack with a 2.5% ownership. So 2.5% ownership, I'm fine with that. I wish they were still perfectly correlated on the power play. That's not the case anymore. Anthony Beauvillier is playing with the Barzal line while the other two guys are on their own power play unit. But I mean, it's kind of like that Ovechkin thing, right? As long as everybody on the line is getting power play minutes, I don't super care. Like, I'd rather have the correlation, obviously, but it's not, you know, completely make or break for me. They're a very reasonable price. They're coming in on DraftKings at 14,200. You know, by my numbers, they come in as a top 6 secondary line. So yeah, completely fine with Islanders second line here tonight. My power plays article this morning, I wrote up Noah Dobson staying at 2,900. I don't see any reason not to play him. Noah Dobson for me. Anybody else stick out to you?
Not really. And, you know, Seth Jones, 6,000 is a pass for me. Like, there's no one like on the Blackhawks side that I'm itching to play. I guess Calvin DeHaan at 2,900, he's going to block some shots. So I think he's okay, but everyone else, it's really just Dobson. If you want to use Pulak as a one-off, that's okay. Not top power play times, meh. So really Dobson or DeHaan for me.
Yeah, I was going to say Connor Murphy, but it's just because his price has come down a lot. But he's not playing the minutes he was last year. He's down 19 to 20, not 22 minutes. So yeah, I think I might go with you. Just save the $500 and go straight to Calvin DeHaan. Marc-Andre Fleury, 7,600. Do anything for you?
He's going to see the shot volume probably. It's just there's cheaper options again I'd rather play than Marc-Andre Fleury. And it's not like I'm going to have a Blackhawks lineup. I don't think like there's not going to be a full stack for me. So I'm not really going to play him in a non-correlated lineup.
All right. Yeah, that sounds just fine. All right. Next game, Los Angeles Kings, 2.6 implied goal total going into Nashville. Nashville has a 2.9 implied goal total. I think the big note here for our purposes is that Nashville looks to be using the Ryan Johansson line as their shutdown line. So you should expect top line versus top line, second line versus second line, and so on down here in this game. I think our favorite goalie on the slate might be in this game as well. We'll get to them eventually. What do you think about the forwards, first of all?
Yeah. If you live on Narrative Street, Victor Arvidsson back in Nashville, that is a large Narrative Street. There are some big houses on that block. And listen, I think
they got high rises going up on that street.
Woo, boy, is he going to be itching to play tonight? But listen, I do like the Kings top line tonight. Ryan Johansson's 347 years old. Kopitar's not a spring chicken either, but the LA one is fully correlated on the top power play. They're not like crazy overexpensive. Kopitar 7,500 is a bit pricey for him, but Arvidsson 5,400, Dustin Brown 4,900 is fine. I think you can play them. Second line, I do like just listen, Deneau doesn't get power play time, but Kempe and Iafallo get secondary power play, and they're going to get the Granlund line, which is just not great defensively. So I think you can go to LA2. I don't think you need to, go crazy with them, but they're coming in under 1%. They're cheap. They're very cheap. They'll help you fit in the Colorados, the Edmontons, etc. I think you can have a couple of them there. On the Nashville side, looking at the ownership on that top line going into the Kopitar matchup at 4-5%, it's okay. I just Ryjo 4,900, Forsberg 7,400. It's a bit pricey. I do like Duchesne 3,600. That's too cheap for him. I think you can go to Nashville one in MME builds. I'm not going to, go out of my way in 1 to 5 lineups to play them. Second line, okay as well. I'm not very high on Nashville tonight. My favorite line in this game is LA1.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nothing else to say about that because I was in on Los Angeles one as well. Ryan Johansson at 5K, that's just under 5K, 4,900. It's just not a good price. Him and Matt Duchesne should switch prices here. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. Want to mention Eeli Tolvanen. That guy is just blowing the doors off shots wise. I think he's hit the shot bonus in his first 2 games. Yeah. I just don't really like that matchup. He has to go into the Deneau Iafallo matchup. That's probably pretty bad for them.
It's a tough matchup. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like the depth matchups here really on either side. Los Angeles 2 is fine, but I'm never playing Los Angeles 2 on the road on an 11-game slate in 20 lineups. I'm just not doing it. So I'm back. I'm with you. I'm going back to Los Angeles 1. Fully correlated, decent price. Tough matchup, but I think they've looked really good this year. Aside from the results, just on the ice, by the eye test, they've looked really good. So I'm going with Los Angeles 1 here. I don't mind. I think Tolvanen makes a fine one-off because if he gets a lot of depth matchups from Los Angeles, the Kings still don't have a ton of depth. So maybe he can get you the shot bonus again there. On the blue line, we do have to mention Roman Josi because we always have to mention Roman Josi, but he is 6,900. I find that a little bit expensive. Sean Walker, 3,600 is kind of popping for me. What about you?
Yeah. If you're using LA1, I think, Drew Doughty's perfectly fine, 5,500. Sean Walker as a one-off, I am on board with. If you're not playing Josi, there's not really much else on the Nashville side. Waiting for Felipe Meyer's price to drop under 3K before I start clicking him in.
You're not going to see. I like Felipe Myers, but I don't know if there's it just seems to me like Josi and Ekholm just soak up too much of the possession from the defenseman. There's just not enough there for everybody else. But anyways, that's for another day. Just if you want to give us a like and a subscribe, it would really help us out. We especially appreciate the subscriptions, helps us grow this channel, helps us keep bringing these shows almost on a daily basis. We're bringing NFL, NBA, PGA, we're bringing all those good. So please subscribe if you can. And if you're on Twitter, check out the pinned tweet for the main Awesemo account. That's Awesemo_com on Twitter. We have an NBA opening night giveaway. A free Awesemo Plus NBA yearly pass. It's a $1,000 value. Will LeBron James or Steph Curry have more points in tonight's game? The directions are right there in the image on the tweet. So head on over to Awesemo_com on Twitter to enter our contest to win a free year of Awesemo Plus NBA pass. It's a $1,000 value. It's going to take about 20 seconds of your time. It doesn't get much better than that. All right, couple more games to get through real quick. We have the Jock Market NBA show coming up with Adam and Eric right after us, and then MLB live before lock with Terry and Max right after that. I wish the Red Sox would stop blowing teams out. They're going to win the World Series again. It's going to make me so mad. Anyways, Winnipeg 2.5 implied goal total going into Minnesota. The Wild have a 3.1 implied goal total. The news is Blake Wheeler out on the COVID list, and he's symptomatic, so he's going to be out for a little while, it seems. Andrew Kopp likely to jump up to the top line. with Scheifele and Kyle O'Connor, and then Paul Stastny likely to move up to the second line for Winnipeg. In chat, you I don't know if you were raving. I was raving. We were raving about Minnesota 1. Yeah. Minnesota 1, likely one of our favorite lines tonight. Why don't you tell the good viewers about Minnesota 1?
Yeah, they're fully correlated on the top power play. Their price this is a price driven play, like 3.1 total on the at home, fully correlated in the power play. Winnipeg's PK still not very good, so I like them tonight. With Wheeler out, I don't know if that's a bump defensively or a downgrade defensively. I think it's just, Cop moving up. It is what it is. Kaprizov 6,200. That's about fair for his price, but Joel Eriksson Ek under 4,000. Zuccarello 4,700. It's just too cheap for me. They are getting ownership. They're coming in around 10%. But at that price, it's one of my favorite lines tonight. That's really about it that I like for the Wild. If you want to one off of Fiala, I wish he'd move up and have some actual line mates, but like after that top line, who's he really going to play with that gets you excited? Ryan Hartman, Victor Rask, like Freddie Gaudreau. Freddie Gaudreau's okay, but
I think Freddie Gaudreau's a better option.
yeah, it's just like get the man some line mates. But yeah, Minnesota 1 I like a lot. On the Winnipeg side, it's just like, if they're in an empty net situation and you can tell me they're going to be an empty net situation, yeah, I'll play them because that team hits the empty net more. Like there's no statistical evidence to back that up. But every time you're fading a Winnipeg goal, they always find the empty net to just like destroy your bankroll. But like, I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of the Jets tonight. I think if I had to go to a line, it'd be that second line, like I two-man Dubois and Ehlers or something like that. They're not overly expensive. Stastny, if you want to add him in, whatever. The top line, not fully correlated on the power play anymore because Wheeler's out, coming in around 2%, and it's, like 15-9. I think it's okay, but on 11-game slate, I'm going to look elsewhere. And, Minnesota 1 is where I'd look.
Yeah. Winnipeg 1 is going to get the defensive matchup, and Winnipeg 2 is also going to get a defensive matchup. So, I think I'm just out on Winnipeg. I don't want Scheifele against that Eriksson Ek line. And I don't want Dubois going up against the Foligno Greenway line either. So, I'm just out on Winnipeg here tonight. Minnesota 1 for me, they're one of my top value lines on the entire slate. Love Minnesota 1. I'm with you. Maybe one off Fiala. On the blue line, Brendan Dillon played 20 minutes and got the block bonus in his last game. If Winnipeg's going to get shelled here tonight, 2,500 might get the block bonus again. Don't mind him. And Jared Spurgeon, PP1, saw a big price drop. Anybody else?
3,800. That's crazy. Also, Nate Schmidt, power play 1,3,200 if you're, using the Jets, but I'm out on the Jets defenseman, really.
Yeah. Connor Hellebuck, 7K. That's one of the guys, right?
Yeah. He's one of the better goalies in the NHL. It does worry me a little bit, but, you're never going to be confident going in with a 6,900 goalie on the road. You're just hoping he gets the volume.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Like Connor Hellebuck as well. All right. Last game. Thankfully, it's the last game because we don't really have to talk about this one. Anaheim, 2.1 implied goal total going into Edmonton. Edmonton, 3.5 goal total. I'm just out on Anaheim. I've watched 2 of their games. They haven't looked good. None of their lines. Their third line has looked decent, but I'm not playing Anaheim's third line with a 2.1 implied goal total on an 11-game slate. So Edmonton power play for me. I'm trying to sneak Nurse in because I think his price with Barry's price drop, we'll see a big ownership discrepancy. Anything else you want to talk about there?
Yeah, I feel like Billy Madison, Adam Sandler, Billy Madison, for the love of God, stay here. Stack Puljujarvi in your Edmonton stacks. For the love of God. Yeah,
especially over on FanDuel. I mentioned in my Power Plays article, his price hasn't come up on FanDuel. It's still a lot cheaper than it is on DK. So if you're playing on FanDuel, definitely make sure you 3-man stack.
And he gets power play one time. Yeah, he's on power play too, but he does see a little bit of power play one time. And he's always a third of the ownership of McDavid and Draisaitl.
And I think this is a year that he finally, last year, he was just catching up to speed. This year, I think he finally turns it on. Yeah. All right, we're going to get out of here. That'll do it for us today. My hat trick pick for tonight, Kirill the Thrill, Kirill Dollar Bill, Kirill Kaprizov. Who you got?
I'm going Narrative Street in one of those high rises. He's going to be screaming from the rooftops. Victor Arvidsson.
I love it, man. All right, Victor Arvidsson, Kirill Kaprizov are your hat trick picks for tonight. All right, for Jordan, our producer, for Joshua Harris, our single entry assassin, I'm Michael Clifford, a.k.a. Slim Cliffy, saying good luck tonight, everybody.